Chara Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Stavaram Jangamam Yatam Yat Kichit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Babaji Vyapti Yat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sarva Shruti Shiroratna Virajita Padam Bujaha Vedantam Buja Suryoya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatito Niranjanaha Bindunada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jnana Shakti Samaruda Tadvamala Vibhushitaha Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine Atma Jnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shoshanam Bhava Sindosha Yapanam Sarasamparaha Guru Padodakam Samyak Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapaha Tattvajnana Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Manata Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagaguru Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Radhira Nadisha Guru Paramadevatam Guru Parantaram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuja Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuja Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Guru Vishwananda Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo 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 Hari Bo Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Guru Narasimha Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol Hari 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 Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Guru Shri Krishna Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol Hari 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 Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Guru Vishwananda Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol Hari 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 Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Guru Narayana 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 Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Hari Bol Hari 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 Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, 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 Oh Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda, Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jai Shri Swami Vishwananda. Om Avatara Shishaya Namaha, Om Vishamaya Namaha, Om Devakarya Samudyataya Namaha, Om Sukshmatanave Namaha, Om Chinmayaya Namaha, Om Gurumurtaye Namaha, Om Sundaraya Namaha, Om Sulochanaya Namaha, Om Sumukhaya Namaha, Om Charuhasaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Padmambujaya Namaha, Om Mandagamanaya Namaha, Om Charumbardharine Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Mandirasthapakaya Namaha, Om Shri Babachakaya Namaha, Om Gayatri Ajvane Namaha, Om Arpanasrikarakaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namaha, Om Namo Narayana Yeti Mantrapasakaya Namaha, Om Svaramayaya Namaha, Om Madhurakantaya Namaha, Om Krishna Sankirtana Lopaya Namaha, Om Stotra Priyaya Namaha, Om Mitapashine Namaha, Om Vagmine Namaha, Om Chitrakala Visharadaya Namaha, Om Vratadharaya Namaha, Om Sadhave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokahitaya Namaha, Om Bhakta Priyaya Namaha, Om Surdaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha, Om Premamurtaye Namaha, Om Shubhekshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha, Om Swastidayakaya Namaha, Om Tarakaya Namaha, Om Anugrahaya Namaha, Om Vardhanaya Namaha, Om Architaya Namaha, Om Arthaya Namaha, Om Siddhipradaya Namaha, Om Janardhanaya Namaha, Om Manoharaya Namaha, Om Mahakshaya Namaha, Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha, Om Vasmabhushitaya Namaha, Om Atmalingaya Namaha, Om Lingakshana Protsahakaya Namaha, Om Siddhi Sadhanaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Omkaropasakaya Namaha, Om Sukshmaya Namaha, Om Vishokaya Namaha, Om Sadvikaya Namaha, Om Samadarshine Namaha, Om Dakshaya Namaha, Om Achintyaya Namaha, Om Niramkaraya Namaha, Om Nirmohaya Namaha, Om Avyagraya Namaha, Om Chitakrodhaya Namaha, Om Vinayashilaya Namaha, Om Swavashaya Namaha, Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Shamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha, Om Viraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandhaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhura Swabhavaya Namaha, Om Suranandaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidhaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Haraye Namaha, Om Sutapaya Namaha, Om Samyaya Namaha, Om Guyaya Namaha, Om Vimuktadmaya Namaha, Om Gabiraya Namaha, Om Guptaya Namaha, Om Atmaramaya Namaha, Om Srinivasaya Namaha, Om Devaya Namaha, Om Yutidharaya Namaha, Om Dhanyaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Guratikramaya Namaha, Om Gahanaya Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Harisharna Margadashakaya Namaha, Om Kutastha Jagartakaya Namaha, Om Abhiprayaya Namaha, Om Sarvamata Samatyaya Namaha, Om Shamagata Bhavavarakaya Namaha, Om Premavatara Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Ato Deva Avantuno Yato Vishnur Vichakrame Prativya Sapta Dhamabhi Idam Vishnur Vichakrame Treda Nigade Padam Samudhamasya Pagum Sure Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnur Gopa Ada Abhyaha Ato Dharmani Dharyele Vishnu Karmani Pashyatayato Vritani Paspashe Indrasya Yujasakha Tad Vishnu Paramam Paragum Sada Pashyanti Suryaha Divi Vachakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagravagam Sasavindhate Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam. Premavattaraya Vidmahe Satgurudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Om Premavattaraya Vidmahe Satgurudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Om Premavattaraya Vidmahe Satgurudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Shri Krishna Vishnu Madhusudana Kaita Bhare Narayanam Chutat Vikrama Chakrapane Daityadi Sarjadhara Sridhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Rukminisha Bhavanasha Hare Murare Radesha Gopisha Swarupa Brahmadi Vanya Shri Dvarakashaya Vaikuntha Pate Bhuvanaika Murte Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vinakrate Kamatarupa Varaha Murte Trevitramaya Guhane Rama Rama Shri Rama Krishna Yadunandana Kalki Rupa Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Govinda Madhava Mukunda Parat Paresha Damodaraja Dharananda Kadhari Shori Go Gopa Gopi Jana Samrita Dina Bando Gopi Jana Priyaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Rantishaya Mujagadi Patalpashaya Sadbhakta Hitsadhanashaya Ramangashaya Shri Gopabhama Mrtutalpa Sukhadishaya Go Gopa Vallabharaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Kashyapati Sukhanarada Gautamari Brahmarshi Sangamani Sangava Bharateshaho Tishtanti Deva Tava Darshana Bhagya Hetoho Gopala Sekaraye Tava Suprabhatam Mandara Jadi Tulasi Dala Malikadya He Mayani Anjali Pute Samudharanti Tishtanti Tvatpavatadara Tale Murindraha Radha Manohararaye Tava Suprabhatam Vedatrayam Patati Gotamakaya Guyaha Gayanti Sadguna Gano Varada Savargaha Sankirtayanti Kavanama Katha Visheshaha Shri Naradari Shaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhano Dharana Gopa Kishora Gopa Gopi Janamrita Suresha Pavati Pota Trilokya Mohana Sumangala Divya Deha Shri Rukminisha Varada Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vatsachila Sharanagata Parijata Bhaktarti Bhanjana Kripakaradhina Bandho Devyanta Gayati Janam Priya Divya Rupa Shri Nanda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padmadhara Prameya Padmalaya Srahita Padma Nivasa Shori Padmodbhavadi Sura Sevita Pada Padma Padmadinata Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vringatale Viharanaya Mahendra Vanya Kandarpadarpa Haradinya Sudhesharupa Chandrananaya Siddha Chandana Ligna Deha Govinda Yadavaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Nanda Nandana Yashoda Kumara Dhira Mayangadina Davichola Supushpahara Nilam Buddha Susharida Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Bhajti Janbhavati Satya Sugandhi Bhadra Shri Mitra Vinya Divasa Prabhu Putri Kadyahe Tishtanti Devya Bhavameta Vasevanada Gopi Manapriya Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananta Mukunda Shauri Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Devya Munayo Navisham Vadanti Brahmi Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Ahanisham Bhuri Kritam Mahapapam Shri Krishna Grahetukam Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vrateju Sudhabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Samrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Velum Kwavantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakotika Maniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandrakala Satvana Marya Vamshi Radhangadam Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasam Shamam Tribangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ganiyasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitamachyutamanadi Manantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Dulapamadulatma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Kantasukoti Chatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manaso Munipungavana सोऽप्यस्ति यत्प्रपदसिन्य विचिन्त्य तत्त्वे गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
एकोऽप्यसौरचयितुं जगदण्डकोटि यश्चक्तिरस्ति जगदण्डचयाय दन्तः आदन्तरस्थपरमाणुचयन्तरस्थं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यद्भावभावितधियो मनुजस्तथैव सम्प्राप्य रूपमहिमा सनयानभूषः सुतिर्यमेव निगमा प्रतितस्सुवन्ति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
आनन्दचिन्मयरसं प्रतिभाविताभिस्ताभिर्य एव निजरूपतया कलाभिः गोलोक एव निवसत्यखिलात्मभूतो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि प्रेमञ्जनचुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन सन्ताः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
रामादिमूर्तिषु कलानियमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोत् भुवनेषु किन्तु कृष्णस्वयं समभवत् परमापुमन्यो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्य प्रभा प्रभवतो जगदन्तकोटि कोटिष्वशेषवसुधादिविभूतिहीनं तत्ब्रह्मणीश्वरमनन्तमशेषभूतं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
माया हि यस्य जगदण्डशतानि सूते त्रैगुण्यतद्विषयवेरवितायमानं सद्वावलम्बि परसद्वविशुद्धसत्त्वं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आनन्दचिन्मयरसात्मतया मनस्सु या प्राणिनं प्रतिपलं स्मरतामुपेत्य लीलाहितेन भुवनानि जयात्यजस्रं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोलोकनाम्नि निजधां नितले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधामसुतेषु तेषु ते प्रभावनिचया विहितश्च येन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयसाधनशक्तिरेका चायेव यस्य भुवनानि विभाति दुर्गा इच्छानुरूपमपि यस्य च चेष्टते सा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
क्षीरं यथा दधिविकारविशेषयोगात् सञ्जायते न हि तथा पृथगस्ति हेतो यशम्भुतामपि तथा समुपैति कार्यात् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि दीपश्चिरेव हि दशान्तरमभ्युपेत्य दीपायते विविध हेतुसमानधर्मा यस्तागृहेव च विष्णुतया विभाति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Yakaranavala jale bhajati smayoga Nidram ananta jagadanda saroma kupaha Adhara shakti mavalam yaparam svamurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasve Kanishvasita Kala Matavalamya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanata Vishnur Mahansaya Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Bhasvanya jasma sakaleshu nijeshu tejaha Sviyam kiyat prakatayaptyapitad vadadram Brahmaya esha jagadanda vidhana karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yatpada Pallava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Vanve Pranama Samaye Sagadadi Raja Vignam Vihantu Malalasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Agnir Mahe Gaganam Ambud Marodishyascha Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Amcha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yachakshuresha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Tesha Yasyanyaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Dharmotha Papa Nichaya Shrutayastapamsi Brahmadikita Patagada Vayascha Jivaha Yadatta Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasvindra Gopamata Vindra Mahosva Karma Bandana Rupa Palabhaja Manata Noti Armani Nirdahati Kintu Sabhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Piti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchichatasya Sadhishim Tamuna Purete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Aknarantimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday morning. So this The verse that I've taken from the verses that I've taken from the Srimad Bhagavatam are from the 8th book, Canto 8, Chapter 9, verses 22 and 23. Shiptva shirod adho sarva virutradna lato shadhaihi manthanam mantranam kritva netram kritva tuva sukim sahayina maya deva nemantadadvar atandritaha shelha bhajo bhavi shanti ditya yuyam palagraha. Which means the following. O demigods, cast into the ocean of milk all kinds of vegetables, grass, creepers and drugs, and then with my help, making Mandara, mountain, the churning rod, and Vasuki, the rope for churning, churn the ocean of milk with undiverted attention. Thus the demons will be engaged in labor, but you, the demigods, will gain the actual result, the nectar produced from the ocean. So just to give the context here, obviously, I've chosen this verse this morning because of what's about to happen in the next few days. So for those who are maybe not aware, tomorrow we start with the Diwali celebration. And Diwali is traditionally, it's just a 5-day long event. This year it's a little bit different due to the lunar calendar. But anyway, from the following days in India, they're celebrating it the following. So tomorrow, on Tuesday, is Dhanteras and also Yamadipam, where we place the lights in the direction of the south towards the direction of Yamraj, so that there's no unwanted sudden death in life. Wednesday, we celebrate Choti Diwali. So this is actually the celebration of Krishna's triumphant win over Narakasura. Then on Thursday is Amavasya Titi. So it's a very, very auspicious day for auspicious beginnings and many auspicious things. So on this day, obviously, the tradition is that Lakshmi Puja is performed. So that's for prosperity. Friday is kind of like a gap day. Then Saturday is Govardhana Puja, and then Sunday is the actual day this year when Diwali is actually finishing. So it's the time when the demons and the devas were actually churning the ocean. This is the time now. And during that process, of course, this didn't just take place over one night. This was taking place over a long time. And during that process of the churning of the Milky Ocean, it's something that you can see up here in the roof or the ceiling of the temple. They used a churning rod. And Guruji, when he gave the commentary on this story in the Bhagavatam, he talked about how this churning is actually, it's always a process of movement. There's friction there. There's back and forwards. And friction is produced, heat is produced. And this represents that movement between the mind and the heart. We're constantly moving up and down between these two different, let's say, aspects of ourselves. Sometimes we move into that state of love. We find somebody or something, or we go for a darshan, we enter into that state of love. And wow, it's lovely. But then it comes to an end. And we move back into the mind, and we know how life can be living in the mind. So you enter into, again, that struggle of life, because often life is perceived as difficult, as a struggle. And so, why am I talking about this aspect? Well, in the churning of the Milky Ocean, one of the last things that to arise in the churning of the Milky Ocean is obviously Lord Dhanvantari. He, arises from the churning of the Milky Ocean, holding the pot of the elixir of life. Now, Dhanvantari, he is that aspect of the Lord that brought healing to humanity. He brought the science of Ayurveda, the understanding of how to heal the body, the mind, how to, let's say, bring us to that state where that inner state that is immortal, that's not bound to the body nor the mind, that eternity of the self can perceive directly. So one of the greatest forms of healing that we can experience in life, there are many different forms of healing in life. When I was younger, I experienced many different types of healing therapies. I went to many different types of healers because I wanted to have a good understanding of how they work, which aspect of self are they working on. So there are many different forms of healing. But one of the greatest forms of healing that can manifest is the quietening of the mind. It's coming to the point where the mind reaches that state of silence. So there's no longer an incessant movement of the mind. There's no longer that state of agitation where we have in the churning of the Milky Ocean, that agitation. That begins to come to a point of rest. Now in the Sri Yantra, when you look at the Sri Yantra itself, you have the outer layer, the most outer layer, which is like the square. But as you begin to move in towards the center, you come to that point where there's 2 or 3 concentric rings before you start moving up the Sri Yantra or deeper into the Sri Yantra. This represents that sea of agitation, which is the agitated mind. It's always restless, it's always moving. And that's why in that state of agitation, because most people's minds are always agitated, like some people are thinking, okay, oh God, when is he going to stop talking, or when am I going to catch the bus, or okay, what am I going to have for dinner, or the mind is always moving. That state of agitation can be very uncomfortable. And there isn't that state of peace. So this is the state of mind that most people experience and the state of life that people live. And if you can't calm the mind, then we live in that state of agitation. It's pretty hard. So this journey of healing is what Lord Dhanvantari represents. That process of healing, that journey that we're all going through, of coming to the point of silencing the mind. And I wanted to talk about this in connection with Lord Dhanvantari and the upcoming days, also in connection to an event that we just finished, which is the Silent Retreat. Some of you may be aware that we had a silent retreat taking place in the last few days here with the SB and Swamis and Swaminis. And it was very interesting. I wanted to bring it in today because it was very, very, very nice. Some of the feedback that was brought into the closing session that we had yesterday afternoon. Now, during that closing session, there was various feedbacks that were given. And it's amazing how all of our life we're busy doing. We have to do this, then we run to the next moment, and then the next moment, then we have to do this, and then that. We're always running from one thing to another in our lives, one moment to another. It's natural. Even if you live in an ashram, do you, gentlemen, or do you ladies, do you just sit around and meditate all day in the ashram here? I see some smiles, meaning no. I remember when I first came to the ashram, the old ashram in Zurich. And a few people, when they arrived at the ashram, they all had this idea that they would just sit and meditate every day. That's what you do in an ashram. Well, that might happen in some ashrams, but in the Bhakti Marga ashrams, that's not the case. You are busy. And so we're often running from moment to moment. We're busy all the time. And that's that state of agitation inside. It easily propels that state. So when we come into this opportunity, like for the silent retreat, to come to that state where you don't have to keep running to the next moment. You're allowed to simply be. You've been given that environment, that space to be. That can actually be awkward and uncomfortable. And so one of the people that were sharing, the person said that they felt like they were in prison. They felt like when they came here and they were in their room, they were experiencing the first day of silence. It was like they were in prison. Their room was a prison, the ashram was a prison. And they wanted to get out of prison, it was so uncomfortable. But as the mind calmed, as the mind was brought to that state of silence, of rest, then that process of inner transformation takes place. And there was a surfacing of this inner lightness and a happiness that came with that. And it's amazing to see the transformations that take place during the silent retreats. And it's amazing to see, as you hear what's being shared, how they have perceived life, how they've perceived themselves, how they've perceived the situations of life when they've looked through the lens of the mind. But when that mind is allowed to come to a state of silence, of peace, a completely different perspective of life opens up, it unfolds. And you don't perceive life or yourself in the same way. And this is the path of healing. This is the path of silence. You become a friend to life. You become a friend to yourself. Isn't that beautiful? When the mind comes to a state of silence, you become a friend to life. You become a friend to yourself. How many times have you judged yourself? Once? More than once? More than 100 times? Judgment is such an easy thing with the mind. It happens constantly. But just imagine a life without judgment. So once the mind is dropped to that stark reality of how life was, and then how you begin to perceive life without that movement of the mind is completely different. You could be living like in a prison with the mind, but once the mind is brought to a state of silence and it comes to a state of peace, your outlook, your experience of life is completely different, vastly different. So you befriend life. When Swami Keshava was talking about the silent retreat, about silence, he said you come to that point of you trust. He says silence is trust. Because often when you don't trust, you start becoming agitated. What will happen? I don't know if this is, and you get all agitated. You can't be agitated when you trust. These are completely opposites. So if there's silence, if there's peace, there will naturally be trust. Trust in life itself. You don't need to become agitated. You can be peaceful. And so whatever is going to come in life, or I don't know if I'm going to miss the bus. I don't know if I'm going to pass this exam. I don't know if I'm going to get there on time for my interview, whatever it might be. If the mind enters into that state of silence, and you're able to sit in that state of silence, you'll have a trust for how life unfolds. And sometimes these accidents in life happen, isn't it? Sometimes you accidentally meet a person, or you accidentally enter into this place, or people accidentally walk into the ashram. Many of, let's say, these so-called accidents have led you here. So were they accidents? So what was the problem? All the so-called problems in life are helping to lead you back to God, helping to lead you back into the state of silence and being a true friend of yourself and a true friend of life. So how can you call them accidents? When you're stuck in the mind, they really do look like accidents. They look like problems. But when you enter into the silence of the mind, or below the mind, the experience is completely different. So at the end of the silent retreat, it was really a blessing, actually, to sit in their presence. Because on the first day, you give the introduction, then you let them go to their rooms, and they start sitting, meditating. And we did japa walks on the different days, but it was very nice to see over the days how that level and intensity of silence began to increase, and how the activity, the agitation in the people began to decrease. That was my experience. And that's why at the end of the retreat, when I went in there and just sat just to listen, it was actually, we asked them, would they like to give feedbacks? And quite a few of them just didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to give any feedback initially because they were so happy being in that state of silence. And so it was maybe like a challenge that they had to talk. And it was really nice just to sit in their presence and just to feel that state of silence. You don't need to fill up that space. It was already full because they were happy. So in that state of silence, it's a great blessing. You become a blessing actually to yourselves and also life itself. You perceive life as a blessing. You perceive life as something that you can trust. There's no need to mistrust life. You can trust life. People don't need to be mistrusted because you trust life. You're at peace with life. You're at peace with yourself. And you befriend yourself as well. And you can forgive yourself for everything that you have maybe judged yourself about. And the most beautiful thing is that in that state you can truly become a friend of yourself, and through that you can befriend God. How can you truly love God if you can't love yourself? It's very, very hard, because you are part of God, God is part of you. And how can you love God if you can't love yourself? This is why Guruji says you have to accept yourself. But you can't really accept yourself if your mind is still active. But when your mind becomes silent, and everything that you've not allowed yourself to see, in that state of silence it comes up. And then it comes up, it has to come up. Like the churning of the Milky Ocean, everything had to come up to the surface. So everything has to come out. And that's a natural process. It happens to everybody the same. It has to come up, it has to go out. But once that process has happened, and the mind goes into that quiet state, you can truly befriend yourself. You can truly befriend others. However they present themselves to you, it doesn't matter. You can befriend life, and you can befriend the divine, that eternal aspect that's inside of you and inside of everybody. But that's the journey that we have to go through. That's the process of healing that we have to go through, each and every one of us. But you can't go through that process without silence. And it's through that silence that you enter into a deeper love, that love with life itself, with the presence of God in all things. So that's the natural journey, that's a natural process that each and every person has to go through. And silence is an incredible blessing, and an understanding of that process where, life begins to take it on a very different perspective. So for this upcoming Diwali, let us be reminded that it is a journey of healing. It is a journey of silencing of the mind. And as the mind becomes silenced, all those treasures that we actually have inside, peace, kindness, joy, acceptance, equanimity, happiness, non-judgment, calmness, they begin to arise. They're there, they're perceived. And so these are many of the qualities that come out after the poison comes out of the churning of the Milky Ocean. everything that we've been repressing inside. Once the poison comes out and the mind enters into that silence, then all these divine treasures can begin to surface, come to the surface, and be activated inside of us. They're already there. They just need to be allowed to come to the surface. And then that elixir of immortality is actually the divine perception of yourself. Is when the mind is in that state of great silence, then you can perceive when the divine consciousness begins to become active. It can't truly become active until the mind comes to that state of peace, silence. So that's when we begin to perceive the divine self. You have that direction perception, the darshan of the Atma. And there is only all the divine qualities. There isn't anything else. And so this is the journey of the churning of the Milky Ocean, but it's also each individual's, let's say, journey as well. And so this event, this celebration is a reminder of that we have to go through that, because we have to move from the temporary to the eternal. We have to move from the mind to the heart, and through the heart to the divine self. So I hope you have a lovely Diwali. We're going to be celebrating here in front of Mahalakshmi over the next few days. And may she grace you with all of those divine treasures, as she's very capable of doing, if you have the ability to keep your mind in the right place, without judgment. And if you can love yourself, then she'll love you a lot more. But can you love yourself? Can you let your mind come to that state of non-judgment? If you can't, then just watch the mind and don't fight with it. Jai Gurudev.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Yato yato yami tato narasimho.
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 Bahin narasimho hridaye narasimho.
Bahin narasimho hridaye narasimho.
Bahin narasimho hridaye narasimho.
Bahin narasimho hridaye narasimho.
Narasimha madin Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye.
Tava kara kamalavare nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Danubringam Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa
Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa
Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Savakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Uttanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa
Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jai Narasimhadev 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 Jai Narasimhadev
Jai Narasimhadev 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 Jai Narasimhadev
Jai Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Om Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Sri Vishwananda Gurudev 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 Sri Vishwananda Gurudev
Sri Vishwananda Gurudev 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 Sri Vishwananda Gurudev
Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me
Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me
Yatindraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me
Yatindraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me
Praparti Dharmai Karataya Mangala Mangala Me
Prapati Dharmai Karataya Mangala Mangala Me
Ramanuja
Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala
Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Shaligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangala Me Shaligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandatarini Kodagrajaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandatarini Kodagrajaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Range Sakenkaya Rataya Mangala Mangala Me Range Sakenkaya Rataya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Dharini Dharaya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Dharini Dharaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Swami Jai Jagadisha Hare Bhakta Janon Ke Sankata Dasa Janon Ke Sankata Shana Me Dura Kare Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Jodhave Palapave Dukkha Vinase Manaka Swami Dukkha Vinase Manaka Sukha Sampati Garave Sukha Sampati Garave Kashta Mite Tanaka Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Mata Pita Tuma Mere Sharanaga Ume Kisaki Swami Sharanaga Ume Kisaki Tuma Bina Ora Naduja Tuma Bina Ora Naduja Asakarume Kisaki Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Tuma Purana Paramatma Tuma Antarayami Swami Tuma Antarayami Para Brahma Parameshvara Para Brahma Parameshvara Tuma Sabake Swami Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Tuma Karuna Ke Sagara Tuma Palana Karata Swami Tuma Palana Karata Me Sevaka Tuma Swami Me Sevaka Tuma Swami Kripa Karo Bharata Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Tuma ho eka gochar Sabake Pranapati Swami Sabake Pranapati Kisa Vidhi Milom Dayamaya Kisa Vidhi Milom Devamaya Tumako Men Kumati Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Dina Bandhu Dukha Hanta Tumara Shaka Mere Swami Tumara Shaka Mere Karuna Hata Badao Karuna Hata Badao Sharana Pada Tere Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Vishaya Vikara Mitao Papa Haro Deva Swami Papa Haro Deva Shraddha Bhakti Badao Shraddha Prema Badao Santana Ki Seva Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Tana Mana Dhana Sabha Hem Tera Swami Sabha Kucha Hem Tera Swami Sabha Kucha Hem Tera Tera Tujha Ko Arpan Tera Tujha Ko Arpan lage mera. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, Swami Jai Jagadisha Hare. Bhakta Janon ke Sankata, Dasa Janon ke Sankata, Jana me dura kare. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. Man Chakra Ragoji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji. Man Chakra Goji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji, Giridhari Lala Chakra Goji. Chakra go, chakra go, chakra go ji. Chakra go, chakra go, chakra go ji. Mane chakra go ji. Giridhari Lala chakra go ji. Shabahane chakra go ji. Giridhari Lala chakra go ji. Govinda mane chakra goji, Giridhari Lala chakra goji, Giridhari Lala chakra goji. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhusya sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Govinda. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Prem se bolo Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan ki. Prem se bolo Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Mandir ki. Prem se bolo Shri Krishna Kanhaya ki. Prem se bolo Mahavtara Kriya Baba ji ki. Prem se bolo Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath ki. Prem se bolo Sadguru Deva Sri Swami Vishwananda Prabhu ki. Om Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Jana Vallabhaya Paraya Paramapurushaya Parakarma Mantra Yantra Tantra Aushadhashta Shastrani Samraya Samraya Nichor Mochaya Mochaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaya Dipti Jwalapritaya Savanik Shubhanahum Pat Parashmai Parabrahmane Paramjyotishe Swaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Shyam Venkatamana Govinda. Gopika Shivanasmaram Govinda. Bhakta Vatsala Govinda. Pundarika Varade. Ekanath Namade. Panarinath Maharaj ki. Rukmini Maharaj ki. Samasta Bhakta Mandale ki. Alvaram Purmana Thiruvalikale Sharanam.